All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are having a beautiful start to your week. I am going to be talking about a topic that I know a lot of you all have questions on, and I just felt like this was really the right space in order for me to talk about it and just have an overall conversation. So, if this is your first time here, welcome. If you are watching the replay, go ahead and type in the chat replay. I love to see who's going back to watch the video so that way I can still interact with you and answer your questions. And if you don't know me for the first time, people, my name is Melissa Fleury, and I am a career and leadership coach with the Branded Career. And at the Branded Career, we really assist corporate professionals who want to land and excel in their first six-figure job. So let's talk about master's degrees, right? So, does a master's degree actually guarantee you a six-figure salary? And where this topic actually came up from is that I was having a conversation and with this young lady, and she was expressing her frustrations about how her career really has been stagnant and her salary really hasn't grown that much. And she felt that because of her education, she should be earning a lot more. And so, when talking to her about her background, in addition to I was asking, okay, what kind of education do you have? And of course, she has her bachelor's degree, but she was also saying that she had her master's degree. And something that I keep finding over and over again is that I'm coming across a lot of professionals who have a master's degree, might be an MBA, an MHA, or a master's in a specific discipline, and they aren't hitting the six-figure mark, and they also aren't even hitting the salary that they desire that they desire to actually make. And so I thought that we would have a conversation around six-figure salaries and master's degrees and whether or not it's absolutely necessary in order for you to have a master's degree to make that amount of money. So for those that are joining in the chat, welcome, good evening. Um, I see some people that are dropping in. If you have any questions, definitely put them in the chat. If you have any comments, of course, go ahead and I will respond to them as soon as I can. So there are three things that I really want to cover during this live. And the first one being, the overall purpose of a master's degree. I think that we oftentimes hear that we should be getting a master's. Go ahead and, expand your education. But I think it's important that we actually talk about what is the actual purpose of obtaining your master's degree. The second thing that I want to talk about is how do you actually leverage a master's degree? So, this live is really for anyone that is considering getting their master's. They might be actually in the program right now, or maybe they're recently graduated from a program. So, I think that talking about leveraging a master's degree is a really important conversation. And then lastly is how do you then get your master's degree how do you use your master's degree in order to get your six-figure salary? And so I see Izette is here. How are you doing? So let's talk about the purpose of a master's degree. So I did some research and I'm finding that overall the purpose of your master's degree, and it's super simple, right? It's to expand and deepen your knowledge in a specific field. And in addition to that, it's to study a field that you love with the expectation of exploring future employment in a related area. And another purpose that I came across is acquiring skills in new technologies and methods. So, purpose of getting a master's degree is all about deepening your interests, deepening your skill set, and just your overall understanding within a specific discipline. And that's important because I think a lot of people have looked at getting a master's degree or the purpose of getting a master's degree as simply as just getting a piece of paper. But at the end of the day, the true purpose is for you to become the expert. The true purpose is for you to be the subject matter expert. And when you really have a good understanding of that, then you can approach your program completely different. And then also you can think about ways that you can leverage the information that you have in order to get the career and the salary that you want. And so then you need to ask yourself is why are you getting a master's degree, right? If you're not getting the master's degree to expand your knowledge, you have to be very honest about why are you getting a master's degree. So for those that are in the chat, you can definitely write out like what are some reasons that you may be considering a master's degree or reasons that you heard of other people saying go ahead and get your master's degree. And so while you're actually typing that in the chat, I'm going to go through, I have actually a couple, okay, a couple reasons why I hear a lot of people say, I'm going to get a master's degree, right? So the first one is career advancement. So I hear oftentimes that the only way that I can be a VP, I could be a director, I could be in the executive leadership or even just the C-suite is I have to get a master's degree. Like that is the only way in order for me to advance my career. I've also heard that getting a master's degree is the only way to get promoted. And the thing about absolutes, especially when I come across clients that are saying like, I have to do this, I have to do this is the only way, is that we oftentimes overlook the 5,000 different ways in order for you to get to your goal. So personally, I don't have a master's degree and I've been able to get promoted multiple times. Many of my clients, they don't have master's degrees and they've been able to double their salary or increase their salary by 20 or 30%. They've been able to move into senior level leadership roles without a master's degree or prior to getting their master's degree. So you don't necessarily need a master's degree in order to advance your career into senior leadership if that's what you want to do. The second thing is, and I think this actually aligns with purpose, is that some people say, you know what, I want to get a specialization. I want to be a subject matter expert. And I find that these are people that get a master's degree in a specific discipline. So not just your MBAs, your MPAs, your MHAs, but those that say, you know what, I want to get a master's degree in accounting. I want to get a master's degree in data analytics. I want to get a master's degree in information technology. So I think that those that have a good understanding of where their industry is going, where technology is going, and also the demand of having really high skill sets, those are people that say, you know what, I'm not just going to get a general master's degree. I'm going to get something that's specialized in the area that I know is going to be in demand once I'm out of my program in a year or 2 years. The third thing is professional development and fulfillment. There are some people that absolutely love being in school. I hear this often, like I just love learning. Like I just learn, I love acquiring degrees and certifications. So I'm just going to go ahead and get a master's degree because I love being a student and I love that structure and I just love being in the classroom. The next thing is career change and transition. And this can be done really well if you do it right? So I've had people that said, you know what, I want to move from operations to HR. I want to move from accounting into finance, right? So if you find yourself that you've had long periods of experience in a specific discipline, and you're saying to yourself, you know what, like I actually really need to learn the skills of this new industry that I'm getting into. I actually need the experience, maybe the internships or just overall the knowledge, then getting a master's degree can be a great way in order for you to pivot. I think a good program that does this well are specifically MBA programs. So if you are someone that's saying, you know what, I have a non-business background, but I want to get into business, or maybe you're already in a traditional business background and you want to switch industries, MBA programs, if done right, can get you to that end result that you want. The next one I want to talk about is increased earning potential. So a lot of times people say that I'm going to get the master's degree because I know I'll be able to make more money. And the mistake that we make with that assumption is that we don't ever talk about what is actually, let me say it like this. We don't actually quantify what more money is. So I decided to look at statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the average person, and this is 2022 data, the average American with just a bachelor's degree makes about $74,000, right? The average American with a master's degree makes about $86,000, right? So what's that? about a $12,000 difference, right? Like that's still not hitting six figures. And so I think that if people understood that, okay, if the average is $86,000, right? Is a master's degree actually going to be profitable for me? And if you decide that I still want to get my master's degree, you need to leverage it. You need to leverage your experience while you're in the program, as well as outside of the program, so that you can hit that six-figure salary and beyond. Because truth of the matter is, getting a master's degree is extremely expensive, right? Like for most of us who already have student loan debts from their bachelor's degree, you're going to take out more debt from your master's degree if you find yourself in a position where you don't have scholarships, you don't have grants, and you don't have a company that's going to pay for it, right? Student loans are going to be the way that you finance this master's degree. And so, something that I really, truly, and wholeheartedly believe is that if you're going to take on six-figure debt, student loan debt, then you need to be making a six-figure salary. Like, if you have six-figure student loan debt now, you need to be making six figures, right? Because if we're looking at education and getting your master's degree to be an investment, right? We need to get that ROI. And the way we get that ROI is our salary. And if you have 100K in debt, but you're only making 50K, something's off with that. And so we really need to be intentional about why we're getting a master's, how we're going to use it, and different ways that we can leverage it. I see a lot of people are in the chat right now. Let me know if any of this is actually just resonating with you. If you have any questions, I'll definitely stop and answer it. So Izette said, personally, I have no master's and was a director. And absolutely, it depends on company culture and who you work for. Tiffany said she's currently in her master's program. And your purpose is to further your education, and it's challenging to find a role with your undergraduate degree. Absolutely. I understand that. And MBA was something I always was interested in. I was hesitant in pursuing my master's only because I know it was not guaranteed to find anything. I'm honestly not sure where to start. I've obtained my degree. Sometimes I ask myself if I'm even qualified for the position. I'm glad you said that, right? Because we're going to actually really talk about that, because I think that master's degree or programs in general do a good job of handing you the information for your specific discipline, but they don't necessarily teach you how to build a career with the information that you have. And so the last reason that I want to go through as far as like, why are you getting your master's degree? And I really feel like a lot of us need to be honest about this, right? Is validation. I find that a lot of people get their master's degree because they feel that if they get the degree, they'll finally be good enough, they'll finally be smart enough, and they'll finally feel qualified, right? And I see that a lot of clients or potential clients that have this master's degree still don't feel good enough, still don't feel qualified, and still don't feel smart enough. And so if you're feeling like you need validation, and I think that it's just a human experience, right? Like all of us go through periods of being insecure, being unsure, being intimidated within the workforce. And so we want to feel like we were made for this moment, right? We want to feel like we can actually own up to our desired career aspirations. And so if getting the master's degree is the way that you're getting validation and you haven't been able to feel validated, then that is something that you're going to have to work on. Because what ends up happening is that you're going to bring yourself to every single interview that you're on and every single networking event that you're in. So I want you to really start learning how to actually build your confidence outside of your master's degree, right? Build your confidence in knowing who you are, what you bring to the table, and your master's degree is simply just an asset. That's it. Your master's degree doesn't make you who you are. Your master's degree doesn't make you smart, because trust and believe, after you get your job, no one cares about your master's, right? They just want to know that you actually can do the job. And that's solely dependent on you. All right. So we talked about the purpose of a master's degree. Why are you actually getting your master's degree? So let's get into this whole conversation of actually leveraging the master's degree to get you to the six-figure position. So the first thing that you really need to consider is the credibility of your master's degree program. Too many of us have been just focused on simply taking your standardized testing. So whether that be your GRE, your LSAT, I forget all the other things, GMAT, there you go, your GMAT, all of those tests, and then doing your applications, which is expensive and tedious, right? That we're not really paying attention to really what does the school actually offer you, right? One is when it comes to credibility is of course going to be the name. We know that some institutions have a strong brand, right? They have a strong brand, they have a strong name, right? So for those that are in those types of programs, they know that, okay, if you went to NYU, you're good. If you went to Harvard, you're good. If you went to UPenn, if you went to UCLA, like a lot of these schools have really great brands when it comes to education, that you know that once you have a degree from there, it's held to a high regard. The second thing when thinking about the credibility of your master's degree program so that you can leverage it is the career center. And I think that a lot of people do not focus enough in this area. So the same way that you're looking at the coursework for your master's program, you need to be looking at, okay, what kind of job support resources do they offer? Because you're simply not just going to the school just to get the degree. You're going to the school because you want to get a job in your respective field. So you need to be thinking about, okay, what kind of support do they provide me with finding a job? So are they going to be reviewing my resume? Are they going to be helping me with my LinkedIn profile? Are they going to be curating networking events with not only just employers, but as well as other professionals and alumni as well? I think a lot of schools just focus on, oh, we do two career fairs a year, right? That was a mouthful. Two career fairs a year, right? And they feel like that's enough. But in this day and age, that is not enough. Like students need continuous support, and that's a place where I fall in as a career and leadership coach. Is that a lot of people don't feel supported as far as like their development in their career and their leadership by their schools. The next thing when it comes to leveraging your master's degree is the companies that recruit at your school. I think if you're going to be looking at, okay, the career fairs that they're actually publishing, look at the list and directory of companies that typically recruit at your school. So if you are in banking or you want to be an investment banker, you want to look at, okay, is Credit Suisse, well, actually Credit Suisse is no longer, is Atlas or Morgan Stanley, Barclays, Goldman Sachs, any of those companies, do they recruit there, right? If you're looking at accounting, does PwC recruit there, EY, KPMG? If you're looking at any of these tech companies, right, does Apple and Google and Facebook, like, do those companies recruit there? It's important for you to not only get your degree, it's important for you to get the access needed in order to be successful in your career. Another thing that you want to think about when you're in your program or looking to get into your program is the percentage of students who graduated with a job, right? I know some MBA programs like to give stats of our students within 30 days post-grad get a job, our students within 60 days, or even prior to graduating, this percentage of students actually have a job. So when you're looking at those stats, it helps you to really understand, going back to like career center support and just job search support, how involved are they in the process, right? How are they going to be able to provide you with the resources and things that you need? And the last thing when it comes to leveraging your master's degree and the credibility of the master's program is a question for you. Did you actually pursue a high paying career path? And this is important because I'm honest with my clients. Not every career path is going to lead you to a six-figure salary. So you need to be very intentional and strategic about the career path that you're going to pivot into, the career path that you're going to invest your time, money, and energy into. If you feel like, okay, I desire to make six figures, then you need to understand what are your values that are going to come behind making money. I think also, like, speaking of values, the way that I open up my coaching program is making sure that my clients are aware of what it takes in order for them to be fulfilled in their career. Many of us have different values, right? These are the things that allows us to show up fully, the things that allow us to be fulfilled. So it can be anything from autonomy, team leadership, persuasion, leadership, money, financial security. Like there are different things that we value from our careers and our organizations that helps us to feel fulfilled. So for those that are saying, you know what, making money is something that's extremely important to me, be honest about that, right? Like it doesn't help anybody for you to say, you know what, like, oh, I just want to make a difference in the world. Like that's cool, but you can also make a difference in the world and still make a bag, right? You can still make a six-figure salary. So I think it's extremely important just to make sure that you understand what it is needed in order for you to get to the six-figure mark. So let's lastly talk about, okay, how do we actually leverage a master's degree? The first thing is that since you have your master's degree, I want you to understand what it is that you have to offer. And I need you to also understand that you are now the expert. And this is where a lot of people fall short in their master's degree program. So you're thinking, okay, I got the piece of paper and now I'm going to get the job, right? No, you got the piece of paper. Now you are a master at what it is that you studied, right? So thinking about it from that perspective, how you show up allows people to really understand the depth of your knowledge. So if you got your master's in finance, I want you to be the expert. If you're saying that you got your master's in HR, you should be talking to me about HR policies and how they can really improve an organization. If you got your master's in operations, talk to me about policies or processes and procedures that are going to make this company run more efficient. If you got your master's in real estate, talk to me about valuations. Talk to me about your forecasting and predictions of the real estate market despite these rising and fluctuating interest rates, right? Like you are now the master of what it is that you studied. And so the language that you use in interviews, the language that you use in networking events, like all of that really needs to exude you having a master's degree. And by that, I don't want you, I don't want it to be confused with, because some people do this. They'll say, I have a master's, I have an MBA, I have this. And for people on the other side of it, it's like, all right, cool, congratulations. Like shouts out to you. Like that's an awesome accomplishment. But do you actually know what you're doing? Because I find that there are a lot of people that have advanced degrees and they still have no idea what's going on, right? And you don't want to be looked at as that person. Like you studied hard, you did the exams, you did the papers, you did the internships. So I think now it's like, okay, can you take your book knowledge and really apply it to the real world that we live in? The next thing when it comes to leveraging is speaking the language of your industry. And I love talking about speaking the language, right? A good example that I talk about that I use for this is that, you know, someone will say, oh, I know how to speak Spanish fluently, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Ask them to speak Spanish and they can't speak Spanish, right? Or ask them to speak Spanish and they give you a little words here and there. Honestly, that's my Spanish. I live here in Little Havana, Miami, and I don't know any kind of Spanish, right? So when we're talking about language of your industry, every industry has its own keywords, its own phrases, its own companies, like different things that other people that are in the industry know about. So as a professional in the commercial real estate industry, I work in asset management. So things that I'm listening to is, okay, what asset class do you work for? Is it multifamily, office, industrial, retail, mixed use? Who do you work for? Do you work for Newmark? Do you work for CBRE? Do you work for REIT? Do you work for a private family office? What kind of function do you do? Is it construction, project management, asset management? So basically, like there is a language to commercial real estate. And if you look at your own industry, if you look at your own path, career path that you're going down, you'll find similarities and you'll find pockets of language that only your industry uses. So that could be project management, where you're talking about agile and scrum and stakeholders and deliverables. When you're talking about sales, you could be talking about the lead generation, cold calling, prospecting. If you're talking about operations, you can talk about all the operation stuff. So hopefully, as I'm talking about this, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm an accountant. What kind of, or I want to be an accountant and in the accounting field. What kind of language should I be using? And the reason why I'm telling you, you need to master the language of your industry is because this is how people are going to perceive the level of your depth and knowledge within that industry. So if you're very surface level about what it is that you know, people are going to think, okay, you know what? Maybe they're at the beginning stages of their career. And that's probably not the case for you. You probably have 8 to 10 years of experience, maybe 15, right? Along with your master's degree, you know that you can really oversee strategy, you can oversee implementation, and just really leading a team. But that all depends on how you communicate what it is that you know. If this is resonating, let me know if this makes sense in the chat, because I really also want to make sure that people are understanding this, because it's going to flow into how you write your resume. It's going to flow into how you show up in the interviews. And it's also going to flow into how you even present yourself on LinkedIn, which we'll talk about. The next thing about leveraging your master's degree is strategic networking. So if you have a master's degree already, I like to say that you already have an open door to a network. So you'll be able to, one, network with the alumni of your specific program. And I would also say that once you get out of your program, don't be afraid to network with alumni just overall in the school. So let's say you decided that, okay, I'm going to get my MBA, but don't be afraid to, you got your MBA from the business school. Don't be afraid to network with those in the School of Engineering, right? So let's say you decide you want to move into tech, or the School of Medical and Health Sciences, if you feel that you want to take your business acumen and move it into the healthcare sector. So really be creative about networking with alumni throughout the university, and not necessarily in your specific college or your school. The other thing about strategic networking is professional events. So whether it is your MBA, your Master's of Accounting, there are different professional events that are specifically catered to those that have an advanced degree within that specific discipline. So one of my clients actually went to a national sales event because she was getting her MBA and she wanted to focus more so on roles that dealt with sales and business development. So she went to a national sales conference, and that's how she was able to kick off a conversation with a recruiter that eventually led to her tripling her salary, right? If you're looking at accounting, you can look at the National Black Association of Accountants. So there are different professional organizations out there that will really, one, help you to network a little bit easier, but then two, also put you in front of companies and recruiters that are directly in the space that you want to be in. The second thing is we talked about like speaking the language of your industry and how that flows into your resume. So I want you to tailor your resume, right? So now that you are the master in what it is that you do, your resume should also speak to that. If you find that your resume or the jobs that you're getting with your resume is really only lateral positions or positions that are a step down, more than likely there's an issue with your resume. So you want to think about, what am I putting on my header, my professional summary? How am I quantifying my experiences? And another thing that you want to do is, if you're pivoting careers or if you're doubling down on something, don't be afraid to highlight relevant coursework. So if you're pivoting into information technology and you took an informatics course, talk about that, right? Talk about any type of capstone project that you've done, any internship experience that you've had, maybe your final senior project. Like, talk about that in your resume, because it's relevant to where it is that you're going and the brand that you're building. Also, you want to be able to build a strong online presence. Many of us are still underusing LinkedIn, right? I think that LinkedIn, everybody should be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the free, like it's free marketing, right? It's free marketing in order for you to get a job, build a brand, and be able to build community. And if you're in a place now where you're not using LinkedIn, definitely spend the last few weeks of the year getting it together so that in 2024 you're able to go after those six-figure jobs that you want. So while you're on LinkedIn, in addition to updating your profile, actually share your thoughts. So share your insights, research findings, as well as projects that are related to your industry that you're displaying that you're an expert in, right? So the more that you talk about finance or the more that you talk about accounting, then recruiters are going to see, okay, this person knows what they're talking about when it comes to accounting. And also, as they're searching for keywords, your profile is continuously popping up because you're talking about those specific things that you've studied and you work in and that you have experience in. And then lastly, overall, when it comes to leveraging your master's degree, is just learning how to articulate your value. Okay. So articulating your value is the ability to communicate a solution, which is you, to an employer, and being able to fill their actual gap or problem. So I really do believe like this is normally the missing piece, right? I see that people are like, okay, I have the experience, but for whatever reason, they're not looking at me as a leader. I have the experience, but they keep trying to offer me roles that are a level or two down from where I actually should be. And so this comes back to how are you actually articulating your value, your experience, and your education? So when you're talking about your master's degree, it's not simply just about completing your master's degree. It's really about what did you learn? How are you able to apply it? And how would it be beneficial to the organization that you're trying to get hired for? So I know we talked about a lot. So to answer the overall question, does a master's degree actually guarantee a six-figure income? No, it doesn't, right? But if used correctly, your master's degree, leveraged in a really good way, can definitely get you to a six-figure salary and beyond that. So I'm gonna stop here and take any questions that you all may have. I see that a couple of comments actually came in while I was speaking, and I'm just gonna read through them. Al D said, currently in your MBA program, this would be my second master's. I have a master's in IT with a concentration in project management. My MBA will focus on the business aspect of project management. I originally started out to learn more from both aspects. Absolutely. And I definitely think with the path that you chose, you're going to be pursuing a six-figure salary, that being the bare minimum. But just make sure that you're networking now, right? Leveraging your career resource center now. And then also, you can get connected to me and other career coaches where we would be able to assist you in articulating the value and the experience that you have to land those six-figure roles. Natasha said, I took a while to get started on my academic journey after wrapping up years of experience in finance. Graduated last month with my bachelor's in finance concentration and fell in love with studying. Application in progress for master's in financial engineering. Good for you. I also learned that it's definitely not necessary though. And so great, Natasha, like financial engineering, shouts out to you because that is difficult. I took one class in my undergrad and I was like, this is not for me. But I love that you're self-aware and knowing that, okay, it's not necessary, but this is why I want to get it. And when you're honest about with yourself about it, now you're able to actually use it to your benefit. Have a couple people. I used to be about changing the world in a company, but now I'm chasing a bag now. Absolutely. I definitely get that. And so you all have been absolutely amazing. Like I said, me as a career coach, my focus is making sure that corporate professionals who have the experience and the education are actually landing six-figure roles. If you're finding yourself in that spot where you're like, okay, I need support, I need a coach to really walk me through the process, I would love to help you. So you can go ahead. I'm going to drop a link in the comment box and you can book a one-on-one consultation with me to see if coaching with the brand career would be the right fit. And then also I do have a free guide, which I'll drop into the comment box right after this, where you'll be able to, where it's actually called the Ultimate Guide to Landing Your First Six-Figure Job. There are exercises in there that I definitely recommend that you work through the workbook so that you're able to land the six-figure jobs that you want. So, with that, you all, thank you all for being so engaging. I always love coming on LinkedIn Live. And if you have topics that you would like for me to discuss next week, send me a DM and we can make it happen. Have a good night.